Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Prince Harry is, by any stretch of the imagination, a moron. He's not very bright. All those untold thousands and thousands of pounds that were spent on his education as a young man, going to Eton and all that, and he comes out with an A level in art, and his teacher had to help him get that. He is, by any stretch of the imagination, thick as custard. He's also incredibly naive, and we'll see why he's so naive in a moment. But he's doing this poor little rich boy act at the moment. Oh, look at me, woe is me, I've had a terrible life. I sat there surrounded by luxury and wealth, but my brother was born first and he'll be king and I won't, and it's not fair, as he stamps his tiny little feet. Well, I believe Chaucer came up with an excellent term that describes Prince Harry. Geoffrey Chaucer, as you know, the father of modern English, the first man to write things down in any kind of meaningful way. Canterbury Tales, that sort of thing. And he came up with a term which I think suits Harry to the ground, and that is a mewling quim. And I think if anything describes Harry, it is Geoffrey Chaucer, sort of nearly 1,000 years ago, 900 years ago. He must have seen what was happening, like Nostradamus, and predicted it, and thought, they're just the words, and wrote them down. But this moron, this moronic, stupid man who wants us to feel sorry for him, has gone and done something so incredibly stupid that if, let us say, certain expected actions were to take place, nobody would be at all surprised. Let's look at this story to see what the hell Harry has done. He's an arse of the first water. So as you may or may not know, Harry's written a book. It's coming out this weekend, I think, in which he has sort of said what it's like to be the second-born son. Oh, woe is me, what a terrible life he's had. And he's crying about it, and he's washing his dirty laundry in public. And it's an attempt to make us feel sorry for him. He's lost all respect, he's lost all dignity, he is destroying his family, he's taken up with a failed second-rate actress who have us believe that at 45 years of age she's capable of giving birth to 2 children in a relatively short period of time without any complications, even though we could see the movable bump. So I'm wondering, after all those years of wondering who Harry's father is, are we wondering who the mother of his children is? Because chances are it's not her, I suspect. However, all this pales into insignificance when you see this headline. Exclusive. Now, before we get to this headline, let's just say that in his book, he boasted that he had managed to end, when he was in Afghanistan, he ended 25 fighters. 25, I'm trying to put it in a word that will not get this debarred on Facebook, but let's just say there was Taliban resistance fighters, shall we call them, tourists, as we would otherwise call them, if you understand what I'm saying. And Harry is boasting that he's managed to knock off 25 of them, and so that they represent no further threat, these 25. And he's boasted about this. Now, as an ex-soldier, I will say this, that you don't say things like this. You're a professional soldier. You do a job, and then you walk away. You don't sit there with your tin and your little medals, and you're saying, "Oh, look at me, look how great I am. I've done this." Most soldiers, virtually every soldier, would never talk about it. There's people who've won VCs and have never mentioned it to their families. It's an unwritten rule. But Harry has needed this to come out so that he looks marvellous and a real man's man. He actually makes himself look like a cock. But it's worse than that, of course, because this is the level of his stupidity and naivety. He's boasting about doing this, but we know what is likely to follow. Pride goeth before a fall. So the Taliban, from the headline now, the Taliban taunts big mouth loser Prince Harry after he revealed he ended 25 enemies in Afghanistan. And the Islamists say the Duke is mad and the chess pieces now rule after you fled to your grandmother's palace. And the Prince revealed new details of his Afghanistan deployment in his memoir, Spare. He said he ended 25 enemy chess pieces, prompting an angry Taliban response. Now, I'm going to say this. If you've got someone of that particular belief system who's angry with you after you're boasting about what you've just done, do you think it's going to end there? A fatwa was put on Salman Rushdie, and it took nearly 30 years, but they managed to get to him this year. No, they didn't end him, but there was severe damage done to him. That's 30 years they've waited. These people do not forgive and forget, and especially given their history. Oh, Harry, what have you done? You stupid, stupid boy. Anyway, the Taliban have expressed their fury after Prince Harry revealed he ended 25 of them in Afghanistan. Speaking to the Mail Online, the militants taunted the prince, saying that they had the last laugh over the West and that the big mouth loser, the Duke of Sussex, who fled to his grandmother's palace by recapturing the country in 2021. The Taliban said that while their Mujahideen chess pieces are the ultimate victors of the conflict, Harry is struggling to maintain a place in the royal family, in response to the claims made in the soon-to-be-released book. An angry response from the Taliban followed criticism from the Duke of military veterans and his MPs for his battleground revelations, with one calling his writing a betrayal of the people he fought aside. Now, I'm going to not go into this story in depth. Here he is. He is such a tosser. I mean, seriously, he's got to build himself up. This man, in his mind, is a loser in his own mind. He's married a woman who's older than him, who is the controlling person in that relationship, who's got his balls in a jar. He cannot gainsay anything she says or does. I mean, she sat there and she was taking the piss on a video about curtsying to his grandmother, the Queen of England. And he just sat there and he looked really uncomfortable, but he didn't say anything because that man has no spine. He has no balls. He didn't say, do you mind not taking the piss out of my grandmother? He is so scared of that woman. She is the one who wears the trousers. This is a guy who is in his own mind a loser. He is so self-loathing that he has to say stupid things like this, goading enemies to make himself look big, because he needs to project this air into the public psyche that he is not an absolute loser. But the more he does it, the more we see what a loser he is. He's had that upbringing of wealth, an upbringing of privilege, and he's ended up a sad, lonely man in a loveless existing marriage. A marriage really now that he's probably desperate to get out of. But having said and done all he has, he cannot seem to be backtracking. He knows it's wrong, but he dare not stop it, because if he does that, people will say, oh, in his mind, they'll people say, oh, look, he can't even maintain that. Oh, what a loser, what a loser. Harry, his best bet is now to say and come clean and say, look, I was taken under this woman. I was, under her spell, taken in completely. I'm going to divorce her. I'm going to leave her. I want to come back to my family. I want to apologise to my family for anything I've said, everything I've done. I want to put things right. I want to go back to how it was before I made the worst mistake of my life. If he did that, if he stood up and admitted it was a mistake, admitted that he was bewitched almost by this sort of strong-willed older woman, and apologised for all the harm and hurt he's caused, he would be welcomed back. And I tell you, he'd not only be welcomed back into his own family, I think the British people would say, well, fair enough, Harry. Okay, we'll give you a chance. You've admitted it. You've admitted you've done a stupid thing. make up for it, and people would give him a chance. But he can't see that in his own mind because he's just full of self-loathing. She has destroyed him. Well, he's going along with it. So it's, you know, you've made your own bed. You've got to lie in it. It's up to you. But how stupid can you be to goad these people? Now, I'm going to suggest that he needs to up his security big time because I foresee trouble ahead. Because he is so naive as to think he can say that. And where he's been protected, this is the thing, he's been protected his whole life. So he doesn't understand the danger necessarily that he's in. And he may well understand it pretty soon. Anyway, I shall round off and come up, finish the video. But it's just a terrible level of absolute naivety of this stupid man who has no clue about how the world works because for his whole life he's been shielded from it. Anyway, coming up. Now, of course, I won't condone any action taken against Harry. That would be completely wrong, and I hope nothing does come of it. But if something did come of it, it wouldn't be a surprise. These people have form. How he doesn't realise this is unbelievable. I think it is, as I mentioned earlier there, that he's simply been protected for his whole life. He has no concept of what real life is and what these people can actually do. They don't care. So I hope he's going to up his security, as I've said. But it's a strange man. He is a strange man to think that doing that and saying these things would make him look a bigger man in people's eyes. That's what he obviously thinks. So I say I've done this. People will see me as a real hero. No, Harry, they'll see you for what you are, a dick. I don't normally like doing stories about Harry and Meghan because I find them they're just awful people. They're very boring people. They've got no real life. They wander around and they go, oh, look, we're setting up this and we're doing that. Well, fuck off and do it then. Don't tell me about it. Oh, you want a private life? Well, why are you never out the bloody papers? Why are you always on the television for your private life? Do me a favour. Have your private life. Sit there in America. Please, America, keep them. We don't want them back. Keep them, but don't give them fame. Don't give them the oxygen of publicity. Just let them fester in their own miserableness. And they'll soon, you know, divorce, I reckon. I can't see that marriage lasting. But anyway, that's getting into the realm of rumour and speculation and gossip. And Jesus Christ, there's enough of that. So I shall round off here. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, don't annoy the Taliban, and goodbye.